let's talk about how to set up your settings to help you better in PvP. This will also help you in regular gameplay. First, we're going to talk about this. Now, some people in gameplay, we're going to go ahead and reset it. You have it for metric. For those in America who aren't used to metric and everything else or don't understand it, you can change it to empirical and it's going to give you feet. Okay? What I mean by feet is, if you don't know, you can set this line up. It tells you how far it is away. And if you look over here, it says 1,700 feet. Right there to the side where it says eclipse. So, now, the other parts, you're not too much worried about anything else on these. Nothing here. You can leave this alone. I would turn this to friends and clan so it's not constantly popping up or change it to none. Here, auto hide HUD, don't worry about that unless you want to hide all your skills and stuff. Hence, make sure you turn this off. That way nothing just pops up while you are running or trying to get in a cover or anything like that. Let's see, what else? Loadouts for your player, so you can see, or player level, so you can see what the player looks like. You see what level they are and everything. That's kind of important. Show skills, turn this on so you can see, hey, I've put on a booster hive, or you can see that your other teammate has a booster hive or pulse or something like that. You can tell so you don't put on the wrong thing. Make sure you have this on as yes. Now, some people, like Running Butcher, hide this stuff so they don't show you what extra damage they're getting. Let's see. When taking damage, yes, make sure that this is on yes. If you get shot while you're scoping around, you're fine. Now, this is important. The additional field of vision. As you can see, it's been reset. It's at 0. So, then you see, we're pretty close to each other with the camera on my back shoulder. Versus if you zoom this out, this is the most important thing. If you are on a big screen TV, you want to set this for about 12, as well as the next one below. Set that one for 12, and then as you decide to zoom in, scroll it up very slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Smaller TVs, best thing to do, set it all the way to max. Okay? Both of these have to be set for the same. Do not set them differently, like having 25 here and 0 on the bottom. Make sure you set both of these for the exact same. So if you have this one at 12, make sure this one's at 12. And again, slowly go up till you feel okay on your TV. This isn't going to change too much, but when players are roaming around like beside you, like rolling, diving and rolling, you'll be able to see them a lot easier. Customizing your HUD. I would not adjust most of this. If you want to take the XP, you can bring that down to the bottom. But the main one that we're going to talk about is the radar in the top left. Okay. Some players prefer to put it right about here. Why? Because while they're shooting, they can see the radar without having to look up to the top left. You can put it right behind your character so you can see what's going on. I still leave it up here. If you want to, you can put it, again, behind your player is the best spot to put it. So it's not in your field of vision, but it's also where you can easily just look real quick. Here, scrolling text. Make sure you put it to floating. Okay. Now, let's go down here and demonstrate the differences between these. Now, floating looks like this. Now it jumps over to the right. It's not where I'm shooting. It's not all over the player or nothing. We can go down to this one and change it back to random sphere, which is your original setting. And see, it's all around the player. We don't want that. We want to put it away from him and straight up and down so we can see where our damage numbers are. The other one is, I can't remember what it is, but I ain't going to go through it, but just put it for floating. If you're doing raids, make sure you have that on yes. The one just below there. Now, audio, not too much, but controls, we need to make sure we go through controls. camera sensitivity. This here is maxed out for me because I'm on a smaller TV, a gaming monitor. You will see it look like this when you first set it up, okay? See how slow that is to aim left and right? I'm pushing my stick over, okay? Now, if I change this and this, we want them both the same. Again, set them the same. Aim sensitivity, camera sensitivity. See how they're off and how slow that was to move? Again, smaller TVs, max it out. Bigger TVs, go halfway to 10 and slowly increase it for yourselves, just like we did before. Now watch the difference. Look how fast I can move. I can aim faster on a player who's moving left, right, left, right, left, right, like this. You know, so that's important. Aim sensitivity. But adjust this one for how you feel, okay? Get you another player, test it out, shoot each other, and all that. Scoped sensitivity modifier. This one's set for 5. I typically set it for 3, okay? Because while they're juking like that, and I'm aimed down my scope, I don't want to move that so much. So, again, I drop mine down to 3. If you don't want to mess with that, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Now, controller vibrations. A lot of people leave that on. Turn it off. Vibrations will mess with your hand, make you think other things, so don't worry about it. The other 2 that we're going to mess with are those 2. Okay? Now, the best way to describe this is let's go out here and let's show you what I mean by these. And this is the left stick and the right stick. Okay? So, when you're moving your left stick and your right stick, sometimes when you're running and you move it too fast, you'll see yourself like dip down just like that with your hand where it touches the ground. You don't want that. That's like getting a stagger. We want to avoid staggers, okay? See how we're doing that? And we don't want that. Because if you get like that, it's going to cause a stagger effect, okay? And that's going to stop you from being able to shoot. So, we're going to go down to these, and again, we're going to set these for the exact same, okay? Now, again, this right here, if you're not used to it and you feel like it's too much, I would adjust it to about 15, okay? Maybe 16. And then slowly increase it. I have mine max for 20, okay? Now let's show you what 20 does, okay? See, we don't touch the ground with our hand. See right there? Then we can also move left, right, left, right, left, right as we're trying to run away or move around to a different cover. We don't actually touch the ground. So that's what that one does. Now, it will do it from time to time if you mess up, but if you practice running straight on a line like this and practice, you'll get the feel of it. Now, the last part that we really want to talk about is the colorblind assist mode. A lot of people don't know about. So, over here, we came out to this spot because we're going to have to go right down here and shoot some targets, as well as show you some stuff. So right here in accessibility, color blind mode, set this for Trinotopia. I think I pronounced that right. The reason why is because it allows you to see, especially in the Iron Horse raid where the sand is all red, it allows you to see this ring that's around the grenade. So when players throw a grenade, you'll be able to see a ring. So you see that ring that's right there? That will show up in PvP. Okay, not the red circle. We're not talking about the red circle, though you will be able to see the red circle that's there if you can see red. But the main thing that we're looking for is the ring. The ring is a clear indicator before the grenade even launches. You'll be able to see the ring before you ever see this red circle. Okay, so set that for Trinotopia. Now, as you can see, I have my spotter vigilance build on. We're going to go through a specific thing for this. Now, again, with the spotter vigilance build, okay, as you can see, the colors, that's what I was going to say, the colors. See how these are yellow and kind of an orangish, and then the green right here. The Trinotopia is also going to change this as well. So let's show you that again. I forgot to mention this. Now watch the difference in the colors. See how that's much more red This is kind of a golden, and that's kind of a like teal color. You see how it changed? If you need to, like, scroll back and watch. Now, what I was actually going to say is, let's go down here and show you a tip of the trade in the dark zone. A lot of players do not know about this. The devs cannot fix this, because if they wanted to fix this, let's just say that they'd have to basically redo the game, because all of these pieces, whether it be a car, whether it be a wall, whether it be a bush, whether it be something, they'd have to go through and set up all these walls again. Now, as you can see, my gun is buried inside of this truck, but I can see around the corner. Why can I see around the corner? It's because of the shield. And you see right here, the little red dot just right here. That little red dot, that is where I'm actually aimed. But if I take out my shield, boom, it jumps around the corner, even though I'm not around the corner. This allows you to use what they call a wall hack. So if you're ever running down a spot or something like that, and you're getting shot, but you can't see the player, this is what they're doing. The devs cannot fix this. Okay? To fix this, they would literally have to disable a lot of stuff. And as you can see, my dot is right there, even though I'm still aimed right here. I can still see that ad. You can do the same thing in PvP. Okay? So anywhere in the dark zone, anywhere in conflict, you can do this. But the thing I gotta stress is, you can't do this on this side. Reason why? Where does your gun sit? It's always on your right side, right? So if I aim, I'm aimed right here. See, right where the fire is? But look at where my gun's actually at. Right here by the door. That's how far it jumps you over. Again, just like this. My shield is barely sticking out. Barely sticking out. But I can zoom in and see those players. So here's some actual gameplay that I did yesterday, so I can show you guys. Okay, I muted my audio for this spot right here of what I recorded, so you can see exactly what goes on. And you see, we see a player right here. He's countering down, but we can see around the corner. He can't see us. He had a fire sticky. If he would have shot the ground, he would have killed me. But he didn't. He was aimed for the player. Because he was aimed at the player, I was able to use the wall hack and shoot him. We weren't shooting Johnson right there because he was actually... We were trying to teach these guys about why you don't just use nothing but status in the game, because they thought they could troll us. And we ended up just destroying these guys over and over and over. Now, you're going to see me use this severely right here, but as you can see, I can't use it on this side, okay? So what I do is I come over here. Set up, I can straight up with that wall. Now they can't see me, but they can see my bullets coming at them. Look how far I am away from the corner of that wall, but I can still drop this player. I can see his head. He can't see me. The devs cannot fix this. Now, again, there are some walls where you see how it was at an angle. It was very hard to stay there. So you have to pick the walls that you can, like this right here. Even though this spot I can go over here and I test, there's a bush that's right there that I can't use. It does not also, it does not work for cover either. So you have to pick your spots where you want to use this. And see, hurting those players. And again, like I said, nothing but status. So let's show you in a 2x speed.
Let's see that in an instant replay.
As you can see, we are zoomed in. We are behind the wall, way back, probably a good 3 feet away from the corner of this wall. But we line up the wall. That's the main key. The player cannot see you, but you can see them. Now there's a clear indicator of how far I am back, probably about 4 feet, we'll say 4 feet from the corner of that wall. But we can see him, and look, damage numbers. We literally hit him with about 7 bullets to drop him. So let's go over weapons and gear to look for and farm. Now we've already gone over spotter vigilance. You can make that one. But the main 2 pieces are going to be these types of gloves. The Petrov ones with crit damage and armor. These here are almost a go-to for a damage build. These will give you more than, say, the Walker and Harris buff and everything else. Second is the Overlord. The Overlord, you cannot beat the damage target to cover. Anybody who used to play TU7 prior to that knew about damage to elites. Damage to elites changed to damage to targets out of cover. So the more of that you have, the better. Now, don't worry about what I'm wearing for the DNH, but we're going to talk about the build pieces that you're looking for. The ones you're looking for are the crit chance, crit damage, so you can put crit damage mods in there, and preferably the talent that you're looking for. Now, you want to try to find those so you can change the cores. So let's say you find a Gilligard, or like, let's say, like right here, this Walker and Harris. We'll use this as the best example. We have a Walker and Harris with crit chance, crit damage, with Unbreakable. We were able to roll the armor core. This allows you to put armor where you need it, rather than having weapon damage. Or you can trade it back later on to weapon damage if you want it in that spot, so you can be a little bit more damageable. Or, not damageable, being able to damage other players. Second is trying to find pieces with, say, like Vigilance. The other reason why I say this is because Unbreakable is going to give you that ability to have a second life, and Vigilance is if you don't take damage. And again, like I stated before, status does not affect these. The skill damage from the status does, but as long as there's that first initial burst, the status will not affect this, and Vigilance will come back. So bullet damage and skill damages will affect this only. So finding pieces like this, which I can't find, is the ones that roll the core to armor, if you wish. Now, with any good AR build, a piece of Seska is always best. But trying to find these types of holsters, especially the Grupo ones, are the hardest for some players, because it runs with usually crit damage and a status vector yellow. So finding these both so you can roll the armor core onto here is vital. So especially trying to find a Grupo holster for different types of builds is always best. Now, best in slot for team play, let me make sure I stress this, team play, is a Coyote's mask. It will give you more damage than the Gilligard chill out mask. As you can see on some of my builds, I put this into spot because, again, it is best in slot. So, for what people call the so-called meta build, which is why I have meta LOL, we're going to talk about these types of pieces. The Hunter's chest piece is not best in slot here. It only gives you 5% more damage versus having, say, 15% crit damage. That is better. The Walker and Harris backpack, the Matador, is not best in slot back here. Why? Because you're barely getting anything in the Dark Zone or PvP. So getting that extra crit chance by using a Seska and Grupo will give you more damage than both of those combined, the Walker and the Hunter's chest piece. So we're sitting about 1.7 armor, which is actually 1.66. So when people say 1.7, yeah, it's still less when you actually go to the real stats. Now, damage to weapons or damage to armor on your build is a lot more important than damage to damage targets out of cover. Why? Is because if a player is in cover, you don't get a damage boost. So go for damage to armor. Now let's talk about weapons. Okay, so when we talk about weapons, one of the strongest ARs you're going to have is the FAMAS, okay, with NSYNC. Now, you can also use Optimist, but NSYNC is going to be your go-to unless you're Jammer Pulsed or something like that. For most of these, as you can see for the mods, we're going for crit chance, crit chance, crit chance, because we want to get the crit chance in. You can drop one or two of these off depending on how strong your crit chance is for crit damage. You do not need anything more than about 50% crit chance on ARs, okay? If you can get it 250, keep it there. It's best, okay? And there you can drop off some crit chance and put in crit damage mods. To do the wall glitch, you must use this scope, okay? It must be this one or a long range type scope. Anything less than this will not work. There is a crit chance mod for a scope or a piece up on the top, but it's not best. So, another weapon, Lady of Death. You cannot beat the Breathe Fire talent. Yes, a lot of people hate the Lady of Death, but it hits harder than in sync with, say, any other type of SMG. This will hit for probably about 30 to 40k more per bullet at a full armor build. So you cannot beat this for the amount of the magazine size. So Breathe Fire talent is the strongest one for your SMGs. Now, again, it's controversial. People hate the Lady of Death, but you also get a special piece on here, which is the front piece. As you can see, the grip, it gives you melee damage. You can do a full melee damage armor regen type build. And doing so, you can put on the Wyvern holster and a booster hive to increase your melee damage even more, to where you can basically hit a player for almost 1,000,000, okay, and damage. It's just extremely strong. Now, this is controversial, but the capacitor has the highest damage to armor for an AR, as well as damage to health. It's a perfect evened out weapon. You can put on a drone and get the in-sync type proc from this, which is actually the talent on here, which, as you can see, the damage to armor is 6% versus 12%. Okay, so the capacitor is actually pretty good to have as a backup AR if you want a backup AR, because you just can't beat the damage to that. But you also get a lot of crit chance and a whole lot of crit damage. So again, it's controversial, but I say put on a drone, and there you go. Now, another good weapon is the Eagle Bear, okay? The Eagle Strike, the tenacity buffs, all this. The Eagle Bear hits great and hard. Though you don't have damaged armor, you have to hit headshots. So this is great for people who are on PC, or if they can really do good with headshots, throw on the Eagle Bear. It's a raid exclusive, and what was it? I can't remember the name of it right now off the top of my head. Sorry, but it's the very first raid. Anyways, the buffs that you get from this allow you to not take damage. The next one is the Pestilence. You cannot beat the Plague of the Outcast. You can literally stack this off of the decoys. It is meant to do so. The devs will not patch that. It is meant to do that, to take the damage. And then take that and you can spread that to the player. By doing so, you can stack it up really fast versus shooting the player. And Kamikaze Von Doom want to say that you don't need crit chance or crit damage. Well, if you don't, this thing's going to hit like a marshmallow, and then all you're basing it off of is the tick. So you do need crit chance and crit damage if you're going to use this, so you can get the damage per the bullet. Don't be stupid like what he tells you to do on that. Nemesis, of course. Nemesis is your strongest. It's going to hit and slap. Now, as you can see, the FAMAS, you can find weapons like this that already have all these and change the talents, okay, if you want. Now, the FAL SA58 PAR, very hard to come by. But if you find this specific version of the FAL, it is the strongest because it gives you way more accuracy, way more stability, and it's a shorter barrel, so you can hide around corners a lot easier. Again, we're looking at damage drop-off, but this one hits like an AK-47 with extreme high stability and accuracy. So go with that, okay, versus the AK. Yeah, you lose a few bullets for, instead of 50, you have 40. But it's still going to hit extremely hard and way more accurately. So, trying to find those specific hidden weapons is hard. The Shield Splinter, okay, we're going to do a little side-by-side comparison of the FAMAS versus this. We're not worried about the in-sync or anything. What we're looking at is, you see what I mean by accuracy and stability. You lose some on some weapons when you don't. You also gain reload speed versus some that you don't. Damage drop-off. that spot right there where you see it kind of split off from each other, that's typically around 30 meters, okay, give or take a little bit more. But right there, if you're doing long range, you want to find those that have farther damage drop off, especially for, say, like spotter vigilance type builds. As well as you see, we get a little bit more bullet damage versus a little bit of RPM. So these two for SMGs, if you don't have a Lady of Death, are probably your second best. Now, the Vector 45 is controversial versus the SIG MPX. SIG MPX is basically the Lady of Death. It's also the apartment. It's the backfire, or something like that. Actually, it's not the Lady of Death. There's another one, the Banshee or something like that. But this one here is controversial. The reason I say it's controversial is because a lot of people prefer the 9mm because you get a few more bullets and you get less damage. Same RPM, but you can't add all these specific extra pieces to the side rail. Okay? So if I go to the SIG MPX, which is the same as the 9mm, you only have these four that you can choose between. The devs need to fix this. They really need to fix that. They need to allow for different pieces to be on these. So the Vector 45 is going to be your best, honestly. You get more total damage, same RPM, fewer bullets. Now these two shotguns are by far the best, but this one on the top, the custom M870 MCS, is the best shotgun versus this one. Why? Because of the reload time. 4 seconds versus 2.8, and you get a lot more damage. Now, you can crap out more rounds with this one than you can the other one, and you can shoot them out way faster, but the other one's just going to hit way harder. Also, having a white death as a backup. Now, as you can see, we don't have damage targeted cover on all of ours because, again, if a player is in cover, you lose that. So putting damage to armor is better, okay? Yeah, you lose a little bit more in damage, but if the player is not out of cover and you're not one of those just running a gun and the guy is behind a vehicle, you don't get that buff. So try to get the buffs that you can by losing a little bit. Now, other players will say damage target out of cover is better. They're right. You're going to get more per bullet. But again, if the player's in cover, sorry, you don't get that buff. So, for pistols, there's two of the best pistols. The Liberty, right here. You can use the regulars, but the Liberty is going to give you that extra piece, as well as the Orbit. Now, a lot of players will kill themselves before you can kill them and then finish them off with a pistol and then swap back. So, not always is the Orbit the best in slot. It's really not best in slot. If you can get that, great, as that helps your teammates out. If not, Liberty. Okay? So, I hope this video really does help y'all in PvP and advance you.